Now, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they still put on a show last night for the Ravens. Let's have this discussion. Baltimore just rolling. Do you remember when they were 0-2? I don't. Yeah. 5 straight wins now, if you can believe it. And they looking like Super Bowl contenders. Akbar, for you, what did you see that really stood out when you watched this game?
Well, I think first off, Tampa Bay, they started off hot. I mean, they went out there, score on that opening drive, was able to put down, like kind of the law, like, all right, if we're going to stay in this game, we have to make sure we stay up on them, put the pressure on the Baltimore Ravens. But once they start making mistakes and interceptions, it was just way too hard. I was overwhelmed watching the powerhouse of this Baltimore Ravens offense. It's overwhelming when you have Derrick Henry who can stretch out and stretch the defense horizontally. Like, they were getting stretched horizontally, and then boom, you have Likely and Andrews that you can use as your tight ends. Then you have these wide receivers that can do just about anything and everything, especially with gadget plays or whatever it is that you want to do with them. Then Lamar Jackson can just go anywhere. Like, he's scrambling and making on critical plays, going out there and just stretching and getting it down the field. We saw that beautiful ball in the highlight, to Bateman. I mean, that just speaks to you. He's not only a strong runner, he's a strong thrower. I just wouldn't want to see this if I'm a defensive coordinator. I don't want a game plan about this. That's the one I'm calling out sick.
Oh, really?
It's overwhelming. It's just like, hey, you know what, head coach,
You all right? You okay?
I'm not feeling well.
You gonna make it in?
You got that thing, huh?
You know what?
Yeah.
Why don't you guys do this, and I'm gonna come.
Whoa, we got the Ravens though. We need you. We got the Ravens.
They got that Andrews and that Likely.
Yeah.
They got that Lamar. Yeah. I'm not feeling good.
Okay. All right. You're just gonna let the rest of us hang out to dry. We got to deal with the Ravens. Okay. What are we doing?
Did you know this about your teammate here, Kyle?
We'll pick it up. Hey, listen. Baltimore is the most balanced offense in the AFC, hands down, and maybe in the NFL. When you look at what these guys have, they have a two-headed monster at receiver. Okay, they got Zay Flowers, obviously, and they have Bateman. Okay, you look at the tight end position. They got Andrews and Likely. You look at the running back position. Okay, they got Derrick Henry and they got the boy Hill. These boys are nice up front. Oh, and by the way, there's a dude by the name of Lamar Jackson that you have to deal with as well. These guys take care of business. Let's look at the passing game. Okay, Lamar Jackson is number 1 in the league in terms of QB rating, 117.9. He is 3rd in the league in terms of passing touchdowns, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 5th in the league in passing yards and a 69% completion. That's just the pass. Now let's go ahead and go to the running game. 1st in rushing yards, 1,471. 1st in rushing attempts, 239. 1st in yards per carry, 6.2. And 4th in the league in terms of rushing touchdowns with 10. These guys are unstoppable offensively. You can't handle them in the run. You can't handle them in the pass. You have to respect the run, so then you have speed on the outside. But if you sit back and take care of the deep ball, then you got to deal with the run. This is not the team that you want to face. I said it last week. Yeah. When we talked about the AFC division, Kansas City versus Baltimore, this is a Baltimore team you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
How did this team lose to the Raiders? Like, what happened back then? They lost to Gardner Minshew. I'm telling you, it happened.
Do you remember that? Those are Devontae Adams' pass interference towards the end of the game that set them up to win.
Devontae Adams used to be a Raider, right? I remember that guy.
Yeah. You know what? I'll answer that question. They overlooked the Raiders.
Yeah.
They overlooked, and I think that's why when you're intoxicated by your own greatness, it's so easy to overlook the opponent like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they blew that game, but they just blew the doors off Tampa. 41-31 is what you're seeing. Tampa got an onside kick at the end. There was this garbage time points. This game was over. I mean, they absolutely rolled over on them. It's one thing to have Henry and do his Henry thing, and Lamar, the thing we've usually seen from Lamar, it's tough enough. He is playing so well right now as a pure passer. I've never seen Lamar play this well as a passer. He threw 5 touchdowns last night. We're all caught up in the Bucs injuries. We're not even talking about it. Look at this. This is the most games with 5+ touchdown passes. Now, I don't see Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Brady, even Roethlisberger doing the other things Lamar can do. So when he's got more than them. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, 5 touchdown pass games. Lamar is looking down on them. Those are pure pocket guys, maybe with the exception of Roethlisberger, who's a scrambler. When he's doing that type of stuff, like, forget about it. You're not keeping them under 30. You're probably not keeping them under 40. He's done this before. He's had 5 touchdown games. It's the Henry thing. It's the combination of the two of them. He was even out there, Lamar, blocking last night.
Yeah,
you see, like, he throw 5 touchdowns. Oh, watch this. Derrick Henry, my 250 pounds. I'll throw him a block. I run 4.3. He looks so good, and it's not just that he has Henry now. It's that he's playing his best game himself. I think he's playing better than he did last year. He was MVP. Yep. I really do, especially as a passer. You notice all these highlights? We're not seeing Lamar scramble, breaking ankles. He's sailing beautiful touchdown passes. This is a fantastic team right now. It's week 7, whatever the hell it is. We're not crowning them Super Bowl champs. And the MVP thing, like, we've seen co-MVPs. I saw Steve McNair split it with Peyton Manning once. Have we ever seen co-MVPs in the same damn team? Because these are the two frontrunners in my mind. It's Jared Goff is hovering, it's Lamar, and it's Derrick Henry. Yep. My only thing with Henry, he's on pace for a lot of touches. Yep. And I know Harbaugh is not a dumb coach. He's been around this thing before. We got to taper that back a little bit because I don't need him at 30 years old having over 300 touches. And I think they will. But right now, it is just hot knife through butter. It's so fun to watch.
Well, I will just say this. I just saw the fascinating piece on how he takes care of his body. This is a lot.
You're talking about Derrick Henry? He does it all. He's crazy
Derrick
like that.
Henry does all of this stuff, some of this stuff in the same vein of how LeBron James takes care of his body. But you look at what he's doing at 30 years old, and this number is staggering right here. Look at this. Because 30 years old, and he is putting up, look at that, averaging 124 yards per rush at 30 plus, at the age of 30 plus. And these are some of the elite names that we've seen. You remember Priest Holmes in 2004. I know, I surely remember Priest Holmes. I mean, going off. Corey Dillon, Curtis Moore, the great Walter Payton.
Tiki has always looked at as the modern standard of guys over 30 who had amazing football, and he's looking down on Tiki now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is breaking all rules when it comes to how you grade a player. I actually think he can handle the load. Maybe just a little bit down back, but I think he can handle the load at 30.
The problem is, now, this season is as good as it may go, and how many games they win, and they score 40 against. It's like about 2 games in January. It always is for Lamar. Like, is he going to win that title game? Is he going to win the divisional round game? I want Derrick Henry fresh and spry for those games.
Yep.
The Ravens have now reached this point where it's like the Cowboys used to be, where it's like, we know you're going to be great in the regular season. We know. Yeah. You have a great coach, a great quarterback. All I care about is fast forwarding to the end of the movie and see how it ends. And it usually doesn't end well. I mean, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So is this year different? We have to wait.
I was there for the AFC Championship game. I can tell you the feeling at M&T Bank Stadium when they just seemingly couldn't get the run game going. The ball flies out the end zone from Zay Flowers having a touchback. It was
heartbreaking.
That's not even it, though. Yeah, I mean, there was just such high expectation. Lamar talking about this is their year. They were just so close. And I think about it, to your point, Kyle, too, they could have beaten the Raiders. They were, how big is Isaiah Likely's toe that they could have beaten the Chiefs? I want another rematch of Chiefs and Ravens somewhere.
We very well may get it.
And I would love to see that.
Because the problem was it was a really emotional day, that loss to Kansas City. I don't think it was surprising. And I would be shocked even if M&T, if they were surprised. Because this is how they are now. Amazing regular season team. And then they usually come up short. Now, I hate to say that on a day after they just had a huge win, but let's talk real here. Like, we got some playoff games to win this season. We know you're going to win 11, 12, 13 games. Let's see what happens.